Hello, I'm Francesca, and this is an overview of the major astrological transits of 2025. If you haven't already seen my January 2025 video, go take a look if you feel so pulsed to do so. All right, I'm going to look at these major transits, give my perspective, and then I also, of course, pulled some cards for a little extra dose of perhaps clarity, insight, confirmation, all the things. All right. So you may want to grab a snack. I'm going to try to be as succinct as possible to give an overview. So, one, that you don't have to listen to an hour-long video. And two, you can take the meat and potatoes. No need to get super drawn out with all these fabulous things that are happening. So, 2025, big year, as I'm sure if you have your pulse on anything, you've already heard that. So we have our three outer planets all changing signs, and we have our three generational planets all changing signs within a year. Pluto's considered a generational planet. It already switched signs, moved into Aquarius. So where it will hang out for the next 20 years. Okay, so where to start? I'll just start at the beginning of the year and just work my way through. And like I said, I pulled cards for each of the major transits. So in my January video, I already mentioned the lunar nodes changing signs. But to give just a little more detail, so that happens on January 11th, and the North Node shifts into Pisces, enters Pisces. Pisces to me is very expansive. There's also a dreaminess about it. There's also the idea of oneness. You are definitely going to see a pattern connect by the end of this video as well. And then the South Node enters Virgo, and Virgo to me is always about making ideas into concrete form. So then moving something from maybe the etheric, an idea, and then where it actually takes shape. So just with that alone, with that, we'll say tone coloring over the whole of 2025, it's a really positive, juicy year. And the lunar nodes change every 18 months. So we have a lot of major stuff. Like I said, I don't want to say that this has never happened in my lifetime, but I'm pretty sure all four of these things happening in the same year have never happened in my lifetime. I could be, but I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, it's a once in a lifetime year, as every year is, but there's a little extra punch to 2025 that is very positive and is building things that will stand the test of time, as we will see moving on. All right, so on March 30th, we have Neptune entering Aries, and Neptune changes signs every 13 to 14 years. So it's been a little while since Neptune has changed signs. I can't even remember 14 years. Nay, I can remember some big things happen. Okay, so all right. Um, what's interesting is Neptune, once again, there's this idea of oneness, this need for oneness, which linked to the lunar node there. Once again, we're going to see some common themes, patterns emerge. Um, there's also Neptune is also linked to your spiritual gifts. And I've heard other people talk about, oh, lots of things may be coming about with philosophy, religion, spirituality this year. So that will be interesting how that links in throughout this transit. Um, Neptune also rules the 12th house, which is your connection to God, universe, source, ancestors, those type things, and also the sign of Pisces, which There we go, little Pisces connection again. And Aries is all about action, right? Making changes, new beginnings. So you have this, I think, this beautiful little dance between, once again, that oneness, that creativity, and then the action. And so the card that I pulled for this transit as a little support clarity is the Three of Fire, which, once again, no coincidences, only synchronicities on this channel. And threes are all about creativity. It's the number of creativity. Three of Fire, once again, we have achievement. That's what Mars or Aries is all about, ruled by Mars. You have that drive, that ambition. So beautiful confirmation. This transit is also about pioneering. There's this tone of being the pioneer. So very, linked to the creativity, the pioneer. Love it. Couldn't have picked a better card if I had gone through and been like, oh, what's the most perfect card, etc. All right, so then on May 24th, we have Saturn entering Aries. So Saturn changes every 2.5 to 3 years. So doesn't take as long as Neptune or Pluto, but still it's going to be hanging out for a while. We have that Aries again. We have lots of fire, lots of drive, lots of ambition. So if there was ever a time to start anything, this is the year to do so. Or if you've already started something, then to build. There's what you build this year is really, like I said, there's this link to long lasting sustainability, those types of things. Saturn, we have also known as like the god of time. So there's always a little bit of time in there. It's also, there's this need for security. And once again, there's the ambition. So you have ambition and ambition again. There's, when you have these two together, there, once again, it's this creativity. So you have the creativity from the first transit, then again in this transit. And in my January 2025 video, I mentioned how like January, like one of the main words when I looked at the overall energy of all the transits for the month, it really was about ideas. So whatever ideas that maybe we've been percolating on or that come to us in January, really pay attention to those. There's probably a gold nugget or two or three or four in there. So the card that was pulled is the High Priestess, which interesting because the High Priestess is all about your intuition. So with these ideas, the invitation here is to really trust your intuition. Maybe your idea sounds completely wacky, zany, but if there's this like pulse, this drive to see it through, trust it. Because there's going to be all this creative energy. Listen to your intuition. There have been times where maybe I thought about something on and off and I'm like, yeah, whatever, put to the back burner, life happens, you're doing the things. And then like one morning I'll wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I have to do it today. I don't know why, but I have to, that's the first thing I have to do. And I do it. And then it's like, bam. I'm like, oh, okay. To me, that's like in essence what this card is. So really trusting yourself during this year, throughout the process that you're going through, whatever expansion, really tuning into your own intuition, which of course is then linked to source, which of course then we have the whole 12th house, Neptune fun stuff again. So once again, all of these things are so linked. To me, the pattern is so obvious. And if I haven't already said so, remember to take what resonates, leave the rest. Everybody is on their own individual, path and journey. And so trust and just do what you need to do that supports your highest good and greatest happiness. All right. So then June 9th, we have Jupiter entering Cancer. So we have fire, fire. Now we're into some water. Jupiter is all about luck, optimism, expansion. Once again, there is super expansion this year. Cancer is a very nurturing sign. To me, it's also very about that tribal feeling. So whether that's your immediate family, your spiritual family, super close friends, whatever it may be, there's this link, and maybe that those people will be a really good support to you and vice versa during this next year as you expand yourself, expand your career or your love life. Perhaps, somebody knows somebody who knows somebody. There is endless possibility and there's endless support. Really, really beautiful. Jupiter can also be a spiritual teacher. So here we go back to that theme that we just can't get away from this year, whether we want to or not. But with Jupiter, there's also always, as well as optimism and joy, there's also this hope and inspiration, and there's also growth in that. So once again, we have this growth, this optimism, expansion, super lovely. And the card that got pulled for that is the Four of Air. Fours to me, one is the stability, right? Because you're building like the foundation. So you have the four corners, you're building a foundation. But fours can also be a time of rest. And of course, with it being air, it's clarity. So maybe during this particular transit, there could be an invitation to maybe just sit back for a minute, collect your thoughts. When you get the clarity again, move forward. And like I said, this year is so busy that when we have these little pockets of rest, take them. We need rest in order to then integrate. So fabulous. Then moving on to the next big one is July 7th. It's like every month there's something. Surprise. July 7th, we have Uranus entering Gemini, which is interesting because that card was air. Gemini is air, all about intellect, clarity. Uranus changes signs every 7 years. So it's going to be hanging out in Gemini for a minute. What's interesting about this transit is, and even like Uranus in general, there is this need to be authentic, which I absolutely love, because I think with this transformation, it really is you becoming the best, most authentic version of yourself, and really looking into how you sit inside yourself, then how you sit in community, and how you are of service, and just looking at what serves your highest good and greatest happiness so that you can serve in a bigger and better way. I know maybe that's pie in the sky and I'm here for it. Why not? It's what I choose to believe. So fabulous. The card that I picked for this, or I should say picked, that came out, is the Page of Earth. What's interesting is there's also this inner fire that is linked to Uranus. And so Uranus is the grandfather Prometheus who gave, took fire from the gods. We all know what happened. But there's still this fire piece to me that I always associate with Uranus. Um, so what's interesting is, once again, fire to me is the ambition, the drive, and then you have this earth, the grounding, the physicalness. Um, Uranus is also like that genius rebel kind of vibe. It's also how we use our inspiration. So using this particular transit, this time, to really anchor in. And once again, I talked about the page is new beginnings, right? So we have, it's almost like this is a commitment, right? Or a recommitment to our own prosperity in all aspects of our life, especially because with the earth, it's the tangible. So it's our health, it's our career, it's our relationships. This is also, this card could also represent seeing the first tangible signs of your abundance in the 3D. Because once again, Earth is always going to be the tangible, the physical. And I absolutely love that. So this is over halfway through the year. We can probably already start then to see those tendrils, those ideas that we've started to put into place, see some results, maybe start getting some feedback, and then we can make any tweaks, adjustments as necessary to garner even more success in whatever area we are particularly focused on. So I would also suggest, if you aren't familiar with your natal chart or an astrology chart, I am going to add a link at some point, if you would like me to do one for you, to kind of see where these planets are in your chart and how they um how they function in your natal chart. So that's always a point of curiosity too, especially since they're, shifting signs. Um, What's also curious this year is that once again, we have 3 Mercury retrogrades, and they're all going to be hanging out in fire signs. So the first one, Aries, then Leo, then Sag. And Mercury retrogrades, remember, Mercury is our communication. Um, and being in fire signs, it's a time to, I think, once again, retrogrades are that time to reflect, introspection, kind of rest. And I see these retrogrades, especially because they're coming pretty soon after some major transits, to really take that time to rest, to go within. Like I said, some of these planets are going to be hanging out in these new signs 3 years, 7 years. So we do have some time, and they've already, started to get a little bit of it's not like from one to the next, right? There's always this slight influence before the actual transit occurs. So we may already be feeling this, even at a collective level, these changes, this creativity, all the new beginnings that are to come. So when these retrogrades, especially with Mercury retrograde, to really take advantage of the 3 weeks that it'll be in retrograde, these 3 times, to regenerate, recharge, because this is some big energy this year. And like I said, these retrogrades are an invitation to slow down. We need those times to slow down, to integrate. What's interesting too is Uranus moving into Gemini. Gemini is very playful, very intellectual, and play is another great way to integrate pretty quickly. So I hope that you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments. what you're most looking forward to. If you don't want to leave a comment, that's perfect too. If you want to leave a zodiac symbol or the sign for Neptune or the trident, have at it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this serves you. Give this video a thumbs up, click subscribe, share with your friends, help spread the love vibes around the world. And until next time, more love vibes to come. Ciao.